Oh, it's not. Because I'm taking second. They wanted us to be ready to go up. So, I'm just going to watch them. Thank you.
Hey, Your Honor, what's happening?
How are you, sir?
Yeah. Where do you find that? That TV station that on Facebook? You just go to KSVP or what?
106 KED on Facebook.
Just go to put in Facebook and put KR. It's
106.
106. No, I'm usually somewhere. Well, yeah, well, they were taken from another neighbor over there. Another neighbor. From David. You know that guy? This guy's a neighbor too. That's the state police. I know. And David.
990-6976. It's the final curtain for Netflix's DVD by mail service. Correspondent Shelley Adler reports.
It started way back. And good evening, everybody. Mike Winters here with you. Welcome. Tonight we are broadcasting.
Convention and Civic Center, where tonight the Leadership Roswell Alumni Association is hosting a candidate forum where we have for all of the city council races, the school board, and judge races here tonight. It is happening here at the Roswell Convention and Civic Center. If you're listening here on the radio, don't forget you can also watch it live right now at ksvptv.com. And, of course, we still got seating here if you want to make your way here to the Roswell Convention and Civic Center. I do want to take a moment to thank the city of Roswell for their efforts in making sure everything happens out here, as well as the Roswell Independent School District for their work in making sure this event happens tonight, and of course all the folks here at the Leadership Roswell Alumni Association. All right, at this time I'm going to shut my mouth and turn everything over to your moderator for tonight's event, Rick Kraft. Rick, take it away.
Okay. Well, good evening.
Thank you all for coming out this evening for the Leadership Roswell Alumni Association Candidate Forum 2023. We're not used to doing these in odd-numbered years, but because these elections have been moved till November, we're able to do that this year. As I said, we're glad you're here. My name's Rick Kraft. I've been asked to be the moderator for this evening's program. Next year, we'll be doing candidate forums for state and national positions. Tonight, we're looking at local positions, and I've heard many people say that of all the elections that we have, local all the way up to national, this is the most important election because these will be people who will be impacting you directly here within our city. We're going to start by having the New Mexico Military Institute cadets do the posting of the colors and the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll have the national anthem sung by Tom Blake, and then Sergio Torado will do the prayer, a member of Church on the Move. So if everyone can stand up, please, for the colors and stay standing.
Mark time. March. Color guard. Hold. Left. Face. Present. Colors.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, on the home of the brave?
Carry. Colors. Right. Face. Forward. Forward. March.
Good afternoon, everyone. In Daniel 1, the Bible says that God is the one who puts people in power. So let's pray right now. Heavenly Father, we come to you. Father, we recognize that we need you. Father, right now we pray for this evening, and we pray, Father God, that you move with power. Father God, we give you thanks for today, and Father, we just pray that you put everything in order. We pray for peace, Father God, as we have talk, a good discussion. Father, we pray that you move. Heavenly Father, we pray that you put the right people in office. We pray, Father God, that you move and that you, Father God, help us as Roswell, Father God. Let's just come together and worship you. Father, again, we pray for people who honor you, people who love you, Father God, and put you first. Dear Heavenly Father, we pray all this in Jesus' mighty name. And all the people of God said amen. Amen.
You may be seated. This evening, for the first time, we'll be having two sets of candidates appearing before you. One is for the Roswell Independent School District and the other the municipal election for the city. At the outset, I want to encourage each one of you to get out and vote. I assume that there's a high percentage of you here that will vote. Tanya and I, my wife, what we always did with our kids when they were younger is we always voted together and brought the kids with us to model by example for them the importance of getting out and voting. The Leadership Roswell Alumni Association has been conducting these forums since 1996, so this is 27 years that we've done this. This is the 37th forum that we've done. Being a numbers person, I counted, we've asked questions after tonight of 404 candidates seeking 190 positions. I told the candidates before when we met before coming out here, so far nobody has died yet as far as going through the process. The Alumni Association for Leadership Roswell is a nonpartisan organization. It's comprised of the graduates of the Leadership Roswell program. Leadership Roswell program has been around for 41 years. We've got some students here from the 41st class and has graduated 1,030 students over the years. We appreciate the support of the community. I say that both for this evening and also for the program. One of the classes, Leadership Roswell class a few years ago, counted the number of people who presented, and it was like over 100 that came out. Many of you here in the group here this evening have done that. So the goal here this evening is to inform and educate each of you here and those of you watching at home on an impartial setting and an even playing field that's fair to each of the candidates here. Many of you are familiar with this format. Some of you, this is your first time that you've been able to come to one of these forums here. We're going to allow each of the candidates this evening, as we shuffle panels going back and forth, each candidate will have the opportunity to share opening thoughts and closing thoughts, and in between they'll be asked either 4 questions or 5 questions, depending on the position that they're running for. The questions that I'm going to be asking this evening came from the community to members of the Leadership Roswell election committee, and they sat down and put the questions together. So I'm asking you questions that have come from the committee to me. None of the candidates that are coming up here know the questions ahead of time. And each of the candidates will be given the same questions, one after the other. As we often say, this is a forum, it's not a debate. I mentioned that to the candidates earlier. Some of you may have seen the presidential debate last night. We're not going to be having people going back and forth. If they are, I'm leaving. We're going to have somebody else come up here. Please make sure your cell phone's off, and we don't want you to be clapping for any individual while they're up here. After they get through, as a group, we'll clap collectively. I do want to recognize at the beginning the members of the Leadership Roswell Alumni Association that have put this together. It's an awesome group of people. I'm honored to be able to sit at the table with them. This has been put together in record time. I can't count the number of emails that have been flying around every day as this has been put together. The fearless leader has been Hannah Robertson. I don't know if she's in here now. Let me read off the names of the others on the committee, and as I say your names, please stand up. Jean Ann Dunn, Shelby Dutton, Damon Graham, John LeMay, Chris Lethko, Tanya Kraft, Elaine Mayfield, Tom Palmer, Patrick Smith, Amy McVeigh-Tejas, Todd Versiglio, and Mike Winters. Let's thank these people for all their efforts putting this together. Tonight's event happens because of the sponsorship by the City of Roswell joining with Roswell Independent School District. And we would not be here this evening without them coming together. We appreciate their support for the forum. Both Chad Cole and Brian Luck and their organizations have stepped up to make this happen. So let's give them a round of applause and tell them thank you. And we also appreciate Pecos Valley Broadcasting, sitting over on the side there. They're broadcasting this event live out to the community. KSVPTV.com is their station. After we finish this evening, they will post what happens this evening online for anyone who wants to watch it later, or if there's anybody that's missed it this evening. This is Talk FM 106.5 KND. Mornings with Mike Winters, so we appreciate them coming out. Let's give them a round of applause also. As I said, it takes a community. Finally, and most importantly, and then we'll jump into the questions, And I did get the chance to visit with all the candidates before we came out here this evening. It works because the candidates come out and support it. We were talking on the Mike Winter show on Monday. The percentage of candidates that have come out over the last 27 years has got to be over 90%. So we appreciate them. I'll tell you this, it's a lot easier to sit out there and listen to the questions than it is to sit up here. So we've got many in the room here. Let's give them one round of applause and we'll jump into this. We're going to start this evening with the Roswell Independent School District positions. There's 2 seats that are up on this ballot. It's Districts 2 and District 4. The school district has 5 different districts. If you don't know what district you're in, there's a map out front that will show you that. I also found out, some of you may know this already, there's a website which is nmvote.org. And if you want to know about where you vote, go to nmvote.org. I logged on earlier this week. I typed in my name. I typed in my birth date. It went through 16 different precincts that I'm in for different votes. So if you don't know, that's the easier way to find out. We've got 2 candidates that are seeking Roswell Independent School District for District 2. The first one is Jared Christopher Ashbury. I always want to be blunt when something like this happens. We emailed him at least 5 times to invite him to come out, and of the 18 candidates on the ballot, he's the only person that did not respond. Okay, so he's not here this evening, but Robert Enrico Chavez is. Let's welcome and thank him for coming out here. I explained that to him beforehand, that you're going to get all the questions as the first one. He says, I'm ready to go. So first we're going to start with the opening comments that you have. Each of the candidates this evening will be given 1.5 minutes for their opening comments. Proceed forward, Mr. Chavez.
Proceed forward, Mr. Chavez.
First, I'd like to thank the Leadership Roswell Alumni Association for inviting us here. I'm a brand new candidate. I've never ran for anything like this in my life. I've been through a couple of interviews, so I'm just kind of viewing it as that, you know, a giant interview. So the first thing, I'd like to kind of give you a little bit background. I taught for 17 years here in the district, no longer teaching right now. I was a product of the Roswell Independent School District. Elementary, Mesa Middle School, and graduated from Goddard. Started teaching at East Grand Plains. Taught most of my career at Washington Avenue, just up the street. And I finished off at Brendel Middle School. Not teaching right now. I got some other stuff going on. And I thought this would be a good way to get back in touch with supporting some of those kids. Like, he introduced me as Roberto Enrico Chavez. I think one of my favorite names is just Mr. C, which is most of what my kids called me in class because, well, it's easy, fast, and let's just get on with class. That's one of my favorite names and favorite things about education is you get to build some interpersonal communication and relationships for a lifetime. And saw the position open and thought, you know, let's try to create a better communication line between district, school, and the community. Being out of the school district for a little bit, I felt like I got disconnected, and I felt that was important. So there you go.
As I said, none of the candidates know the question ahead of time. When I read the question for the first time, if I read it slow, it's not because I'm slow, which some people would say, but it's to give the candidate the opportunity to think through the answer. So the first question to Mr. Chavez, what knowledge do you have of the duties and responsibilities of the position of a school board member? What specifically would you have control over, and what would you not have control over?
So, from my general impression, we serve as a communication conduit between the district, primarily the superintendent, take their concerns to the school board, and also communicate what's coming from the school board or the district back to our communities. That's mainly what I would like to represent. I know there's more stuff that goes on as far as, you know, in determining, you know, upcoming stuff, if they redistrict districts and stuff. But I think the most important thing is the communication that we try to establish is representing our communities.
Okay. The second.
school has, see what they need. Some of the schools are newer, so of course they might not need as immediate assistance as some of the older schools in our district, and allocate it to the schools that have the most pressing needs, whether it's teaching staff, whether it's the building itself, whether it's what's inside the building, and also the socioeconomics of the school. Do some of those students or staff need a little bit more financial support to help support the education process through special education programs, or just depending on the makeup of the school? I think that plays a big part of it.
Okay. The third question to Mr. Chavez: do we have a problem, or do we have a problem today having non-certified teachers teaching our children, and what is your plan for hiring or retaining certified teachers?
So I don't necessarily have an immediate plan. I think that's a plan that should be discussed amongst the board and should be a unified plan. I have some ideas on how to support that. So I was talking to Ms. Sanchez earlier. My first job when I came into the district, I think I was competing about 5 different people for my first job, which was at East Grand Plains, and about 10 different people for my second job at Washington Avenue. And as I taught and sat on hiring boards, and the stem of people, the amount of people just seemed to drop every year, and to the point where we're starting to call teachers from other schools, hey, have you thought about coming over to our school? So I think one of the immediate things that kind of needs to be done is taking a look at maybe Eastern New Mexico's teacher education program, trying to see what they have available, and look at some of the universities closer to home where our kids are going, and seeing what we can do to attract those students and teachers back to Roswell and back into our school system. The non-certified teachers are the alternate license. I'd like to see a little bit more fleshing out of how we're getting these people to become certified teachers and not just letting them sit there being permanent subs.
Okay. The fourth and final question to Mr. Chavez: if COVID restrictions such as masks or remote learning became imposed by Santa Fe again, would you readily comply with every instruction from Santa Fe, or do you think you would stand up against such a mandate?
I think I'd have to see what the district's viewpoint on it. My personal viewpoint is, let's get the kids back in class first of all. So if that meant following some of the immediate mandates to get those kids back, yes, let's do that. I know the remote is probably just as damaging, if not more, to these students to be sitting at home on a computer. I think whatever we need to do to get the kids back in the school needs to be our first priority, and then we could work at looking at what some of the restrictions are that we as a community could loosen up on, or we as a district can move forward with. So if masks are needed, that's somebody else's opinion, but I do think keeping the kids in the class is the first thing we got to do, and not just have them sitting at home and waiting for them to come back for somehow.
Okay. At this time, we'll give Mr. Chavez the opportunity to share closing thoughts.
Again, I'd just like to thank everybody. Again, this is my first time, so I probably sped through every question, looking at the timer over here and thinking, oh my God, I still had 30 seconds left to go. What kind of BS could I come up with? And hopefully I didn't just come up with BS. Those are my true thoughts, true opinions. I did teach through the COVID era, and it was just as hard for the teachers to do it. It was hard to sit on a Zoom and hard to keep those kids' attention. So that's where my point of view. I had kids sitting on the couch playing video games thinking, why aren't you in class? And they were done for the day, supposedly. And it's kind of hard to balance that as a teacher being at home. So I can imagine those people or those parents who didn't have that support, who didn't have the ability to sit at home with their kids, make sure they were staying on task. There was lots of emails, lots of phone calls to parents. We did it a lot. And I could still see it even in my own children, what they lost. As a junior in high school now, this was way back at this point, still making up some of that ground that he lost. So I do think that's an important question to ask. I do think, again, establishing and developing a better communication between the school district and parents is probably the prominent thing that we need to do. And I think it involves getting parents' opinions on books and COVID and everything else that might present itself in the future. And hopefully it doesn't happen, but we do need to be prepared.
On behalf of the sponsors, those here this evening in our community, we thank you so much for your commitment seeking the RSD School Board District 2. Good luck to you. Excuse me, there's 3 candidates that are running for RASD School Board District 4. The first one is Andrew Graves. When he was contacted about participating tonight, he accepted. Earlier today, we found out that he is unable to come. He's tied up at his farm with seasonal crops and can't take off. So we've got 2 here. The 2 candidates that are present are Sergio Jimenez and incumbent Hilda Sanchez. At this time, we'll allow each of you to do openings. We'll start first with your openings, Mr. Jimenez.
So my name is Sergio Jimenez, born and raised in Roswell. Went to school District 4. I got the opportunity to live in District 4. I'm a huge advocate for kids. Like, that's my heart, my passion. I like basically, I'm trying here, this is my first time, not a politic, I'm not into all this stuff kind of thing, pretty much setting the example for my community, my kids. But yeah, I'm just here to advocate. I know a lot of people are like, well, where do we go vote? Where do we go if we have concerns about school? So now I feel like I'm opening a door where people could come, feel comfortable and communicate and say like, hey, well, we know you from here, we know you from there. I'm constantly involved through different resources with the schools and still like advocating for kids, teachers, and just our community in general. And that's basically why I'm kind of putting my name into this hat. And I didn't know Mrs. Hilda Sanchez was still gonna run. I grew up next to her. She was my neighbor as growing up. So I was kind of devastated when I found out. I thought she was done. So like, no offensive ways. But yeah, thanks.
The 2 of them sat together before coming up here, and I had to break up a deep conversation to get them to come up on stage. The next opening by Ms. Sanchez.
There's an old saying that if the first thing you do each morning is to eat a live frog, you'll have the satisfaction of knowing you are done with the hardest thing you'll have to do all day. And if you must eat 2 frogs, then eat the ugliest first. Eating a frog is a metaphor for tackling my most challenging board tasks, but also the ones that can have the greatest positive impact on my life and others. As a product of the public schools myself, I've made serving public school system my life work for the past 40 years. I am invested in safeguarding the experiences of all our RISD students and all those who care for them. We have a responsibility to our students to support and prepare them to become successful adults while navigating the complexities of our time. To optimally achieve this RISD, we must be responsive and adaptable. I bring an open mind and objectivity to the board with focus on healthy students, centered based making decisions, which is inclusive, collaborative, able to maintain financial sustainability.
Okay. I
didn't finish.
Yeah, I told
Can I
I'm
come
going to
back
cut him
and
off
finish
after a
it?
minute and a half. You did good. The first question will be asked first of Mr. Jimenez. How do you plan to help facilitate or augment the necessary security at every Roswell school?
Man, I don't know. I don't have the answer on how to keep the school safe or provide the proper security. I have ideas, definitely. Are they safe now? Ugh, probably not. I'm sorry. There's a lot of stuff that has happened lately in both high schools. I have a senior in high school, and the stuff I hear, I'm like, man, we should do this. Maybe adding metal detectors. There's so much stuff that we could do to keep our school safe, but it's going to take the public and our community coming together with all these ideas to be able to keep the school safe. there's resources here in town, there's companies here in town that are willing, I think, hiring the extra hands, opening more communication, being more involved with the kids. I think that's going to be the key. Do I feel like our schools are safe right now? I'm sorry, but they're not. I feel like we need to work on the safety, and I want to see what people have to say. I want to know, and I'm not here what I want to do. I'm here what the people want. I'm here to speak for the people in our district. I'm not here for like, oh, I say we should do this, because it's not what I have to say. It's what our district has to say. So I'm like the voices for our district.
Ms. Sanchez?
First of all, I will continue to ensure that each school has access to security officers. We need the SROs in our schools, and we need other staff members related to school security. We have installed security entrances at all of our campuses. We've installed remote operating doors with cameras at all primary entrances. We have had active shooter drills. We continue to have fire drills, reunification drills, lockdown drills, and there's audit of security systems in all of our buildings. We have consultations with the local law enforcement and the fire department, and also first responders.
The second question will be asked first of Ms. Sanchez. What is your stance on critical race theory and diversity, equity, and inclusion being introduced into the RISD curriculum?
I know that CRT is not taught in our classrooms, and the curriculum that we have has been reviewed and has also been scored by rubrics by a lot of our community members, our parents, and it is not taught in our schools, and it's not in our books either. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Jimenez?
So college is not for every single student. Not everyone's college material. There's other things like trade programs. I think that, like Ms. Sanchez, I'm gonna piggyback off of her. It's not taught in our schools, but the resources are there. It's just not promoted correctly. I feel I've had the opportunity to teach at one of the high schools trade, and it's always like not promoted correctly. And I think it's just giving the opportunity and the options for kids to be able to see different options when they're in high school, and not just, okay, this is your elective, just stick you in this elective and go with it the next 4 years. Like, give them the opportunity to try different stuff and learn the program, and just promote the program even more.
Okay. Excuse me, the third question will be asked first of Mr. Jimenez. What is your plan for allocating and spending wisely funds that are received for early pre-K development?
So how to spend the funds for early development? Honestly, I would have to hear what the teachers have to say, because my experience with early childhood is very minimal. The only experience I have are the kids that are being abused, and how I could tell you where to spend that money, trust me. But when it comes to our district in general, I want to hear what our community needs, because right off the top of my head, I don't know the needs. I'm open to learning and be able to advocate where these needs are needed, and spend the funds where, because teachers are the ones that see what the needs are and listen to them, as well as the parents. There's a lot of parents that have concerns, that have needs. Unfortunately, District 4 is one of our low-income districts, so there's a lot of resources and a lot of areas we could spend that money in.
Ms. Sanchez?
Would you repeat the question again,
Sure.
please, for me?
And I forgot to mention that to the candidates when I got you prepped. If you want the question repeated, don't hesitate. What is your plan for allocating and spending wisely funds that are received for early pre-K development?
I know that our budget has made pre-K availability to all of our, to Parkview and to also 8 neighborhood schools. We will support and allocate money for K-3 teachers that are getting structured literacy training. We are piloting literacy success in 4 of our schools, and it starts with our children. We have to start with the little ones and put all our money into those programs so that they can, by the time they get to the 3rd grade, they're able to read at a high proficiency level.
The 4th and final question will be asked first of Ms. Sanchez. Do we have a problem today having non-certified teachers teaching our children, and what is your plan for hiring and retaining certified teachers?
Yes, we do have an issue, a problem with non-certified teachers working in our schools. We have certain career letters so that we can get them started if they want to continue with education. And then we have the Ed Fellow program where they're actually taught and helped, and they can continue going to college classes to get that certificate. And we need to start making sure that we get more of our professional people out there that have science degrees or math degrees, engineering, and they should be able to get an alternative license, and we could place those people in our classrooms. That would help our students and the ones that are scoring below level.
Okay. Mr. Jimenez? Mr. Jaramillo, I'm sorry.
So getting unlicensed teachers, for me, I don't support that. I'm sorry, even though if it's long-term subs. I think the alternative program is an amazing program, but you can't take an engineer from their pay and ask them to be a teacher. You just can't. So maybe I know you can't match a pay when it comes to comparing that. Also supporting the teachers. There's a lot of these teachers that come in with the alternative program, and after 2 years being in higher level education, these kids have no respect. So they get burned out. So once they try the 2 years there, and they're like, I'm out. I taught higher level, I taught the high school, I taught middle school. So I know how it is, and then teachers feel with their hands tied because, okay, well, I don't have the support. It becomes a political game on what can you do, what can you not do. So it's building that relationship with your parents as well. But in reality, supporting the alternative program, reaching out to the right people, and if we're gonna reach out to teachers to try to recruit them, try to recruit young people, because you want them to stay here for the long run. Because if we reach out for alternative licensing to our older generation that are already that are retired, then they're not gonna last very long. So that's basically all I have.
Okay. I apologize to you, Mr. Jimenez. I couldn't read my own writing here with your name. But Mr. Jimenez, now's your opportunity to give your closing comments.
So, like I said earlier, I just want to be an advocate for our district. Our district, I feel a lot of people in our district don't even know where their district is. They're just scared to ask, or I don't know. I don't know what the issue or the problem is, but I feel being involved in the community, not just as an entrepreneur, or also like being advocating for kids in other areas. I think I could open that door where I could bring in the concerns and be able to not be afraid and go ask for people's opinion. Like, hey, like what's your opinion? It's like I said, it's not my vote. It's not being in the board and saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is not what I'm going to change. I'm just here to be able to be the voice of my district. And I have kids in the same district I'm in, so I want them for the better of your kids and my kids. The kids are our future, and if we don't advocate, it's like we're not advocating for our own future. So that's all I have.
Okay. Ms. Sanchez?
Yes, my purpose for running for re-election is to ensure district transparency, maintain open communications with all of our schools, and the most important is the safety of our students and staff. I believe in strong and healthy and fully funded schools. I will advocate for our students and the families. I definitely will support our educators and staff. I will continue to work with the school board to create pathways for all student success. It has been an honor to serve District 4 on the board, and I want to respectfully ask the voters in District 4 for their vote so that I can continue to serve another term.
On behalf of the sponsors, those here this evening, and those in our community, we appreciate both of you taking time to come participate with the forum this evening. Thank you very much. Good luck. As I said, the map for the RASD districts is out in the lobby. District 2 is kind of northwest, and District 4 is kind of south and east. It's a much bigger district. At this point, we're going to move on to the municipal candidates. There are 6 city leadership positions that are contested this year. There's 13 candidates seeking these 6 positions. Each of you who live in the city will be voting for the municipal judge position. Each of you in the city will be voting for one of the 5 wards. And the same thing as I said earlier, there's a map of our city out in the lobby there that you can, if you don't know where your ward is. But we've got 2 candidates running for municipal judge. We have James D. Ornelas, and we have the incumbent, which is Judge Joseph H. Seski. We'll start with opening comments. Mr. Ornelas.
Good evening. I'm James Daniel Ornelas, and I'm running for the municipal judge for the city of Roswell. For 30 years, I've served not only my country, my community, but Chaves County. I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years and served in several different areas of operation to include Desert Storm. And when I got out of the Marine Corps, I worked with my father in the local business that he had as a mechanic. In 1996, I went to the Permian Basin Law Enforcement Academy in Midland, Texas, where I became a Texas Certified Peace Officer. In 1997, I was hired by the Chaves County Sheriff's Office, where I started as a deputy, a patrol deputy, became a field training officer, became sergeant, then moved to sergeant over a criminal investigation, where I assisted my detectives in investigating homicides, crimes against persons, crimes against children, to include abuse and child pornography. Then I got promoted to lieutenant, and I was in charge of both day shift and night shift patrols, as well as criminal. And then I moved to the administrative side of the department, where I was in charge of hiring deputies, internal investigations. From there, I went to the district courthouse. When I was at the district courthouse, I was in charge of security for 4 district court judges, 2 magistrate court judges, the DA's office, state employees, and county employees, as well as the civilians that came into the facility. Then I went to the jail and became an administrator for a year. After 25 years, I retired, and I feel that with my training experience that I'm the man for the job. Thank you.
Judge Seski, your thoughts?
I would like to thank Leadership Roswell Alumni Association for hosting this forum and allowing this opportunity for all candidates. And thank you also to those in attendance or those who may be watching or listening. While it is my job to be your judge, it's now time for the citizens of Roswell to judge me for the job that I have been doing for them. I have been working hard on their behalf, and I appreciate the opportunity to make my case. Since taking office, I immediately began a comprehensive review of the court systems and operations from the top down, making many changes. I updated policies and procedures of the court to align with best practices and current rules of the Supreme Court. Where written policy was absent, I wrote entirely new policy manuals. I addressed courthouse safety and security. I upgraded and improved technology, allowing all users of the court the ability to connect and communicate remotely. I have reduced cost and improved overall efficiency of the court by increasing the use of our existing software. This resulted in the elimination of redundancies, improved our internal processes. I've expanded the role of the court compliance officer and increased our community service and alternative service options for defendants. And I've increased professional development and training opportunities for the staff. These are just a few of the things that I have done as your municipal judge. The citizens of Roswell can have confidence that they have elected a faithful public servant. I have great respect for this community, our constitutions, and the rule of law. My name is Joe Seski. I'm your municipal judge, and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
We'll now be asking 5 questions of these candidates. The first question will go first to Mr. Arnals. The first question, what do you think is the most important responsibility of a municipal judge?
I think one of the most important responsibilities of the municipal judge is to maintain the integrity of the courthouse, of the courtroom, of the decor of the court. I feel that as a municipal judge, you should not only be firm on your decision making, but you should also show some kind of compassion to the individuals that are coming to the courtroom. I feel when they do come to the courtroom, I've seen it when I was a lieutenant with the sheriff's office. Going in front of a judge and in front of a jury is stressful, and I understand that, and I have empathy for that, and that's something that I would do for any and everybody that does come into that courtroom. But one thing I do got to say is if you continue to come into the courtroom and be seen, you're going to be held accountable.
Judge Seski?
The role of the judge in the municipality takes on many levels. The most important thing is the opportunity for the individual to be heard, to have their day in court, if you will. It allows the prosecution to bring forward the charges before the court, and the judge's role in that is to be the umpire or be the person in the middle that makes sure that everybody plays right on the field. And so I'm a big believer in the procedural due process, the constitutional provisions that are provided. At the end of the day, it's the judge's role to make a decision in the case that comes before us. We're experiencing many different types of cases that are coming before the court now. We handle cases involving traffic matters, criminal matters. We are doing fire code violations, water violations, animal service issues and violations. Those are the types of cases that we're hearing. And so my big stress is that procedural due process is the most important role of the court.
The second question will go first to Judge Seski. When you render your rulings from the bench, what sentencing options are available to you, and what limitations on sentencing do you have?
Well, generally, there's a cap on misdemeanors that are filed in the court. Generally, all cases, all criminal cases are considered petty misdemeanors. The maximum penalty that municipal courts can consider for petty misdemeanors is 90 days in jail and a $500 fine. That's the maximum penalty that could be considered. By ordinance, the Uniform Traffic Ordinance of Roswell, there's a penalty assessment program. That program enumerates what violations of the traffic ordinance have what fines. So we're limited by what the legislation has provided for what those fines are. As an example, careless driving is a maximum penalty of $104. Driving without a license, it's a penalty assessment, it's a maximum penalty of $79. So your limitations on sentencing are what the legislation has provided for. But the court has many sentencing options. You have, in criminal matters, you have the full range of probation and probation issues. Probation is one of your best tools to address community, quality of life issues in the community. We look upon probation and the use of our compliance officers for corrective measures, because at the end of the day, that's what the city wants. They want somebody to clean up their yard. They want somebody to have their dog stop barking or running at large. And so we look at our abilities to apply probation for corrective measures. My time is up.
That's okay. Mr. Arnolds?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. When you render your rulings from the bench, what sentencing options are available to you, and what limitations on sentencing do you have?
I think whenever you're going to make your rulings on the suspect or defendant that does come into the courtroom, it's going to be based on their history. If it's a repeat offender that continuously enters the courtroom, then I'm thinking that you're going to be a little bit more strict on them and maybe go with the max penalty. If it's someone that just come into the courtroom and it's a mistake that they've made, which we've all made in our lifetimes, I think it's something that we can do to consider a light sentence, maybe probation, deferred sentences to that individual. Also, on that aspect, if you're going to have them on probation, you need to make sure that, and they're on community service, you need to make sure that they are doing what they're supposed to be doing on the community service, because if they're not, then they need to be held responsible and either spend some time in jail or suffer some other sanctions.
The third question will go first to Mr. Ornelas. Your job is to administer justice in a fair and impartial manner. What life experiences do you have that equip you to fulfill this responsibility?
I can tell you, based on my experience as a patrol deputy, as a sergeant in criminal investigations, I and my detectives, my main thing was I would do everything in my power to try to prove your innocence. Everything I could do to try to prove your innocence. And if I wasn't able to prove you're innocent, then I'm going to charge you. We're going to file charges against you. And I'm going to assure that the charges that are filed against you are the charges that we can get and stick with and find you guilty of the crime that you've committed.
And Judge Husky?
Fair and impartiality is what judges should be known for. It's part of our ethics. That's taught day one of judges training. Fairness and impartiality is just the cornerstone of what we do as judges. We have a responsibility to treat everybody equal, to give both sides their say. Again, I talked about procedural due process. That's part of that. Being a judge has given me that experience. I use fairness and impartiality in every decision that I make. I'm always conscious of what that means. But it's an ethical responsibility. It's taught day one, and I've been doing it since I've been in the business.
Okay, the fourth question will go first for Judge Husky. A municipal judge must not only rule on cases before him, but must also be an effective office manager. What skills do you possess to effectively lead the municipal court staff?
My experience managing offices, in my career, I worked for 26 years for the Alexandria Police Department, and I had many assignments throughout my career managing different functions of all bureaus and all parts of the police department. When I became judge, that did not change. I took over the judicial branch of government. I adopted a staff of 8, and then I had responsibilities to manage a budget. Managing a budget is probably one of my least favorite things to do, but it's one of the most important things you have to do. But you have to present your budget. You have to parse out where that money's going to go, how you're going to spend it, and then you have to convince 10 council members that it's worthwhile to spend that money on that process. And that's the dance that you have to play. I've submitted 3 successful budgets. I have not gone over my budget authority. I use my money like it's my own, and I spend it wisely. I'm an extremely fiscally conscious, fiscally conservative person, and the management and budget experience I have, I think, just speaks for itself.
Okay. Mr. Ornelas?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. A municipal judge must not only rule on cases before him, but must also be an effective office manager. What skills do you possess to effectively lead the municipal court staff?
When I retired, my wife asked me a question, do you miss it? I said, you know, what I do miss is some of the people that I worked with. What I don't miss is my military career and my career as in the sheriff's department. I was responsible for somebody. When I was at the jail, when I was at the sheriff's office, I was responsible for night shift patrol. Then I became a lieutenant, and I had 37 deputies I had to maintain and take care of. When I went to the jail, I had a staff of almost 60 people. And what we did there is there's policies and stuff that are in place. I believe in following policies. If they need to be changed, then we'll change them. When it comes to budget, when I was at the sheriff's office, I assisted with the budget. When I was at the jail, I was in charge of an $8 million budget, and we had to go before the county commission and present that budget to them So I do know how to do the budget. I do know how to lead people. Everything that I do is based on the Marine Corps that I learned, for the leadership traits that I learned there. Everything. If it's not broken, don't fix it. But I also believe in you have to lead by example. I don't care about picking up a broom, mopping, cleaning a bathroom. I'll do it. It doesn't matter. Thank you.
Each of the candidates, including this panel, will have a fifth question, and the fifth question doesn't have to do with issues, but it's a question to learn more about them. We flipped a coin before tonight to figure out who gets the fifth question. Mr. Anales will get the fifth question first. What is the one thing you want to be remembered for at the end of your term?
I would like to be remembered as being a judge for the people, justice with compassion, balance, fair, and firm. I really believe that if you keep on coming into the courtroom, if it's a way we can deter these young kids or young people from going to the next level in the criminal aspects, if we can do that in the municipal court, let's do it. By all means, let's see what we can do to help them. I'm going to be tough and fair on crime. If you, like I said, if you keep on coming back, you're going to go to jail. You're going to face some sanctions, but be fair. Be fair about it. It's like Honorable Sesky said, you got to hear both sides of the story. There's always two sides. Thank you.
Judge Sesky?
I would like to be remembered for the way I live my life. I'd like to be known as a responsible son, a loving father, a proud grandfather, a hard worker, a friend to many, and a judge that was dedicated to leaving his office better than I found it. And that's how I'd like to be remembered.
Okay, at this time, we'll give each of you the opportunity to share closing thoughts. I'll call on you first, Mr. Anales.
I want to thank everyone that's here tonight and online. I was born and raised here in Roswell. I come from a humble home where times were rough at times for many of us. But my faith in God and my tough upbringing and what I learned in the United States Marine Corps has got me to where I am today. I'm dependable, honest, truthful, and what I say, I do. Putting honesty, sense of duty, and sound moral principles above all else, I'm committed to doing the right thing even if it's not the popular thing to do. I'm truly vested in this community. I was given an opportunity to coach freshman football when, in the early 90s when I got out of the service, just to mentor young men. Then I went to the Marine Corps, got out. I'm married to a beautiful, supportive wife, Christella Nellis, sitting right here. We have 6 kids. 4 of them have graduated, moved on. We have 1 at home. Well, I'm sorry, 5. 1 at home. I'm vested here in Roswell. I have 4 grandchildren going to school here. I believe the safety of our city is paramount. I'm also a New Mexico Association football official. For 24 years I've been doing football, also with the Roswell Youth Football League. I'm in charge of the officials and making sure that we have officials for our youth to be playing the sport. Yes, I'm vested here, and I think based on my training and experience and my love of my community, by being here, living here, serving my community, going against arresting some of these people that I've maybe seen, I know where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Judge Sesky?
Roswell is experiencing unprecedented issues related to substance abuse, homelessness, and those with behavioral health needs. As a court, we have been confronting these issues with a problem-solving approach. We are cultivating resources and building relationships with community partners. We are supporting and working with Councilwoman Arnold and Commissioner Dana on their initiatives to find solutions that will be best for our community. We believe in the work of Harvest Ministries and Pastor Diaz's rehabilitation program, and as your judge, I will always work for the betterment of your community. I am proud of the work we do as a court, the work we do daily. We have built a reputation as a model court and have become a leading example of how municipal courts should operate. We are doing things right in Roswell, and others are noticing. In 2021, I was asked to join the University of New Mexico's Institute of Public Law as one of 3 faculty judges responsible for training newly appointed and elected judges from around the state. Earlier this year, I was asked to join the Supreme Court's newly created Court Education Institute, serving the same purpose. I'm currently a mentor judge to several municipalities throughout the state. I serve on the board of directors for the Municipal Judges Association, and I also serve on the Judicial Education Committee. The voters of Roswell have an important choice to make. Why should you vote for me? I have a strong work ethic and a determination to succeed. I have exceptional organizational skills and administrative capacity. I am fiscally responsible. I am honest, ethical, fair, and impartial, and I've worked to maintain your trust. Please vote Seski for judge. Thank you.
On behalf of those here this evening, our community, we appreciate both of you appearing tonight and seeking the position of municipal judge for the Roswell community. Good luck. Early voting will begin on October 10th and continue until Saturday, November 4th. This gets a little bit confusing. I'll move through it, but you may have to look it up. The county website has all this listed. You can vote beginning October 10th at the county clerk's office all the way to November 4th. They're open Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. They begin Saturday voting October 21st. Saturday voting's from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. until the Saturday before the election on November 4th. Early voting is also at Roswell Mall, which starts on Saturday the 21st. It'll go Tuesday to Saturday up until the Saturday before the election. And Hagerman and Joy Center will have voting on Tuesday and Thursday from 10 to 5, October 24th, 26th, 31st, and November 2nd. The election is on November 7th. If you want to do any absentee ballot, I'd suggest you call the county clerk's office. There's a whole other set of rules for them. So at this time, we're going to move to the candidates for city councilor, and we're going to move to Ward 1 first. Let me introduce the two candidates to you. Immediately on my left is Guy Hamilton Malone, and on his left is incumbent Juan P. Oropesa. We'll go ahead and start with opening comments. Let me call on you first, Mr. Malone.
There it is. I appreciate you having me. Alumni Association, it's a pleasure to be back. If you out there, if you don't know anything about me, the main thing I think you want to walk away from this forum tonight is just knowing that I'm the conservative choice of the two candidates you have before you. Way more, I think, based on voting record. But I moved here in 1999 doing missionary work that I'm still active in today. Many of you know I worked at Cattle Baron for 15 years down in Ward 1. That's where my roots are. I still work downtown, so that's going on 20 years working downtown. I support, I'm definitely pro-Constitution, pro-Bill of Rights, pro-gun, pro-family, pro-faith, pro-freedom, including medical. And the thing that's got me jumping into this has a lot to do with I consider the downtown Ward 1 businesses and the families that work there, my constituents, whether the owner lives there or can vote there or not, they employ a lot of Ward 1 people, so I consider my number one responsibility keeping Roswell open and keeping the businesses long-term prosperous coming up in the future. Little pun I got for you, Juan may be the one, but guys, your guy.
Your opening comments, Councilor Oropesa.
Thank you. And I thank the citizens of Ward 1 for giving me the opportunity to serve for almost 12 years. Serving on the council has been an honor and a privilege, and I am truly humbled for the opportunity. So I am asking for your vote once again. I have lived in Roswell for 54 years, except for the 2 years that I served in the United States Army. My wife and I raised our family in Roswell, so I have a vested interest in getting involved in the community. For example, on September of this year, I was privileged to MC the unveiling of the Piñata Stamp ceremony hosted by the U.S. Postal Service and the Roswell Hispano Chamber. In addition, I have served on the following boards: the Girls Softball Association, Roswell Youth Football League, Chavez County Tourism Council, Chavez County Character Counts, Conalma Health Foundation in Santa Fe, Health Security for New Mexicans campaign in Albuquerque, and I have also been involved in the following organizations: 12 years as a volunteer with Daniel Funds Scholarship Program, 8 years in the school board, 8 years as a Chavez County College Board, member of the American Legion, member of LULAC, member of the Coalition for Equity and Fiscal Responsibility, executive director of the Roswell Hispano Chamber, and other organizations. I will always strive to enhance the quality of life for all. Actions speak louder than words is a guide in my life, and I believe my record for the past 12 years reflect this. Thank you.
The first question will be asked first of Mr. Malone. In visiting with members of your ward, what is your ward's greatest need right now, and how do you plan to address it?
Homelessness and crime are what everyone is talking about, actually. I don't feel that homelessness is something that can be completely, or actually can be solved by government or politics, though. It is psychological problems. It could be spiritual problems. Honestly, it could just be a life choice. I mean, if someone says, I don't want to rent and a mortgage the rest of my life, and, you know, this is America, do what you want to. It becomes the city's problem if citizens are in danger and if property is being endangered, though. So I think the thing to do is, if elected, I want to reach, I don't like that the citizens have to come to the government, and I would want to go visit more of the churches and sit down with any pastor who would have me, and I'll just address it. Hey, why are the citizens coming to us to do your job? How can we help you do your job? There's nonprofits. As 2 nights ago, we had a wonderful time with Geneva and Many Hands. Those are the people who are doing it. They need to be empowered by government. Government doesn't need to step in and run the whole program. So I just think we just need to work with those that are out there, bring them a little together, and then give them the license, the freedom, and where we can find it, the money to do what they're already doing well. They're called to it. They're passionate about it. And it's like, I think that and putting more police on the streets would have a lot to do with helping the homelessness and the crime problem, actually. So that reverts me back to.
Okay. Councilor Oropesa?
Repeat the question, please.
Sure. In visiting with members of your ward, what is your ward's greatest need right now, and how do you plan to address it?
Well, I think there's a lot of issues out there that need to be addressed. Infrastructure, for one. You know, we've got old infrastructure, and I'm talking about the sewer, the water, the streets, and I have done a lot in my last 4 years in trying to address those issues. We have done Atkinson all the way from McGaffey all the way north to Cherry Street. We've done Bland from Mesa Middle School all the way to Garden Street to make sure that we put in sidewalks for the benefit of the kids. And, you know, and then we've done some stuff for the kids, the splash pad, for instance, at East 2nd Street. But there is a lot that needs to be done. You know, just one issue is not the problem. You got a lot of issues. You got crime. You've got like Mr. Malone said, homelessness. You've got affordable housing that needs to be addressed. And I just asked the people to give me another opportunity to try and continue what I have started. Thank you.
The second question will be asked first of Councilor Oropesa. Every Roswell citizen wants to live in a safe community. How good of a job are we doing fighting crime, and how can we improve on this battle?
Well, I think Roswell has a reputation for the crime that we have, and obviously that's a big concern. You know, this new administration that just came in 2 years ago, we were able to approve additional policemen. but it's very hard to try and compete with other communities that are not as poor as our community is. You know, and the salaries that we have here in comparison to some of the other communities like Hobbs, Artesia, Carlsbad, I mean, we seem to be the training site for those communities. They come in, get trained, they move on over to the higher pay, and rightfully so. So I think we need to address the issue of how to compete with those other communities as far as staff and pay is concerned and benefits, because crime is an important issue that needs to be addressed.
Mr. Malone? Every Roswell citizen wants to live in a safe community. How good of a job are we doing fighting crime, and how can we improve on this battle?
I haven't been shot myself or shot at, no collateral damage, so I can say we're doing okay in a lot of ways. There's a fear that we're going to become more like Albuquerque and reflecting their per capitas. Completely agree with what you said. We've got to pay our police better and put more of them out there. We find the money, find the money, find the money. I have a similar story. The first family that adopted me when I moved here in 1999, their teenagers were working the booth next to me at this UFO festival, and their family was just making them work and grow up. Well, she became an EMT, and then she hired on with RPD, and now she's doing very well for herself in the lowest crime county in all of Texas right now. I don't want to see them moving away. That goes to first responders as well as the city workers, the blue collar ones. They've got to have the cost of living increases. We have to keep them and make them want to stay here. Them moving away, training ground, as you said, is very bad for us. We need to find the money and pay them.
The third question will go first to Mr. Malone. If elected, what steps would you take to put our city on a firmer financial footing?
We have to become way, way more business friendly. The heart of any economy is your small mom and pop owned businesses. That's 70% of the dollars spent at a mom and pop business stay right here in town. I'm not opposed to big corporations that bring in lots of jobs here. I'm a free market guy, but personally, I would just like to see Roswell a little more stellar and a little less Starbucks. We can keep Roswell unique by encouraging the mom and pop and the local business owners to, if they're doing well, taxes are coming in, tourists are coming, but it cuts right back to what I said about you got to have a police and stuff downtown to make the tourist want to go down there. And again, many of you know, I run a website for tourism, rosguide.com. It's an events calendar. I put everything that's happening in Roswell for free in the hands of the hotel clerks. They love it. Usually when you walk in somewhere, hi, can I leave my junk in your lobby? Yeah, over there. They love it. They're like, no, give me that. That's exactly what I get asked. So part of that is showcasing what's coming up. People come to Roswell for one night. I'm giving them reasons to stay back. I'm organizing 2 other events that don't happen in July when it's not 106 degrees. So more tourism, more dollars, but definitely business friendly.
Councilor Oropesa?
Repeat the question, please.
Sure. If elected, what steps would you take to put our city on a firmer financial footing?
Well, there are several issues the city needs to address. I think the first one is the budget, because the budget is the heartbeat of the community. But you can only work with what you have. And in working with a budget, right now we're looking at several needs that need to be addressed. The ambulance service, for instance. The enterprise funds need to function the way I believe they were intended to be self-sustainable and self-sufficient, and not robbing money out of those funds. Hiring and retaining staff is a big issue. Aging infrastructure, We need to address the homelessness, address housing needs, but more importantly, affordable housing. We need to address our animal control issues, our crime issues, and the list can go on and on. Thank you.
The fourth question will go first to Councilor Oropesa. How much time should be spent by our city being proactive, considering future infrastructure needs?
Repeat that again, please.
How much time should be spent by our city being proactive, considering future infrastructure needs?
I'm not sure I can put a set amount of time, because everything that happens in the community obviously is very important, and they go hand in hand. You know, infrastructure is one of our main things that the city is responsible for, and you know, I can't really say how much time infrastructure needs to take as opposed to something else. But because when you're talking about infrastructure, you're talking about the water lines, you're talking about the sewer lines, you're talking about the streets, the buildings. But one thing that we do need to address is have a future plan for all of them and how much money we need to be able to spend on it. And one of the things that we failed to talk about is the expansion of the wastewater plant, because we will need that expended within the next 10, 15 years. And so we need to have a plan to make sure that we have the land secured and be able to get that land to be able to expand the infrastructure as far as the wastewater is concerned.
Mr. Malone? How much time should be spent by our city being proactive, considering future infrastructure needs?
Definitely proactive, not reactive. If you build a building, the contractor tells you, this is what the life expectancy, here's what you're going to expect to happen in 30 years. Let's deal with not wait till it's derelict and falling apart to deal with what we're going to do with this building. We knew 10 years ago its life expectancy was gone, and it's infrastructure. I do consider what we were talking about earlier, the employees, is we have a city that employees don't want to move away from as soon as they're really, really well trained. And then the budget issue as far as what to do with it. I think I'm hearing that we constantly hear the city's broke, the city's broke, the city's broke. Sorry, as soon as I stepped into this race, I started getting texts and emails from Rs and Ds showing the numbers are a little better. We do have room to be optimistic. So I think we can actually start spending the money that we need to. I think people are covering up by saying that we're broke. There's a little more out there, and I've got the numbers like in my phone if anyone wants to talk to me later about that, of what people have been sending me on. We got a little more money to play with than I think the city wants to spend right now.
Okay, the fifth and final question will be asked first of Mr. Malone. To be an effective leader, you must be able to deal with critical people. What do you feel is the best way to handle critical people?
What you're doing right now, getting us to talk to each other face to face. The day I filed for office, I emailed Mr. Oropesa, and we agreed we're going to be gentlemanly and keep this professional. It's about the issues. So when people are critical, learn from it, receive it. Some of the best changes in my life have come 6 weeks after someone was critical of me, but they were right. So, and eventually I listened. I'm known for reaching across the aisle a little bit. So if people are going to be critical of me, I kind of welcome it. Iron sharpens iron and all that stuff. But the thing is, you just sit with people you disagree with, learn from them. And really, people are critical because they're not being heard. If you give them a little of a venue, I hear you. I'm writing this down. I'm going to contact this person because they're good at that. Just be nice to people, and they don't feel the need to be as critical to you. You can criticize someone's policies without their personality. when he and I emailed in the back, it was over the mask and the jabs issue. He let me know that he affirmed the governor's orders. And I'm like, okay, but we were not mean to each other. That's playing through right now. That's the difference between our stands. But, no, I'm sorry. I'll quit now. I would just say that meeting face-to-face with the people that you disagree with is probably the best way to keep the criticism down.
Councilor Oropesa?
I believe respect is one of the ways to be able to communicate with individuals. And just to make a correction of what Mr. Malone said, I did not approve of the governor. What I did approve of is the rule of law, because she did issue an executive order. And once the executive order was issued, even though it's a temporary law, but it becomes a law, and we do take an oath if you're elected to follow the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state. And as far as being critical, I think you just have to learn how to respect individuals and listen and share your own thoughts with that person as well. And unfortunately, we live in a very polarized environment right now, because it seems to be like, I'm a Democrat, you're a Republican, you can't talk to me because of the differences that we believe in. But this policy, okay, thank you.
At this time, we'll give both candidates the opportunity to share closing comments. First, Mr. Malone, your thoughts?
Let's get out early. Juan's the one, Guy's your guy.
After doing this 37 times, that's the shortest closing we've ever had. Councilor Oropesa?
Thank you. And since being elected in 2012, I have kept my pledge to be a strong voice for the community, but more importantly for the citizens of Ward 1. If re-elected, I will continue to be that strong voice. I decided to personally fund my campaign because I want to quash any perceptions of pay for play. My decisions have been and will continue to be based on the merits of the issues after considering constituency input. My brochures outline a partial list of the council's accomplishments during my tenure, and there's two very important items that were accomplished this fiscal year: the increase of the minimum wage to $15 per hour and $18 per hour for starting CDL drivers. And the other one is the repeal of entry fees at the zoo. I respectfully ask people to consider my qualifications, which include but are not limited to almost 12 years of experience on the council, 8 years on the school board, military experience, fluent in English and Spanish, retired, well over 35 years of community involvement, and I am committed to the following: defend the Constitution of the United States as well as the state of New Mexico, listen and communicate with constituency, address constituency issues, concerns in a timely manner, approach issues with an open mind, vote on the merits of the issue, serve as a counselor to the best of my ability. If re-elected, I want to address...
You got cut off by the clock, but on behalf of those here this evening in our community, we appreciate both you coming out and you're seeking the position of counselor for the First Ward. Good luck to both of you. Okay, we'll move on to Ward 2, and we have two candidates running for Ward 2. Let me introduce you to them. They're sitting opposite the way I wanted them to, but this will still work out. On my far right is Will Cavan, and closest to me is Christopher Glendon Hensley. And we'll give each of them the opportunity to share opening thoughts. We'll start with Mr. Cavan.
Well, before we start, I would just tell you that we followed Elaine's instructions on where we're sitting. So Anyway.
We'll make it work.
Okay. Well, thank you guys, everybody, for being here tonight. This shows that you really care about this community. You know, when I started this journey to run for city council after I termed out as a county commissioner, my wife, and thank you to my wife for being here tonight, she said, "What are you thinking?" And I said, "Well, honey, if you're going to keep teaching and being a public servant, then I've got to go ahead and continue being a public servant." My public service has been for over 40 years here in Roswell, between running swimming pools, teaching, coaching, and being a county commissioner for the last 8 years. It's my passion, you know, being born and raised here, growing up, all the amazing families that we've had the opportunity to do great things with. So this is my passion, and I want to make a difference. I'm a common sense conservative. I'm a common sense physical conservative, and I want to be a voice for the people. And so we've got to continue working to clean some things up and get some things done for the city, and that's why I'm running, and I really appreciate everybody being here.
Mr. Hensley, your opening comments?
First of all, thank you to each and every one of you for showing up. My name is Chris Hensley, and I'm proud to say that I'm also a common sense conservative.
There you go.
I came from humble beginnings, and I've worked my way through this world physically and mentally very hard, back-breaking work in the transportation and logistics industry, but mainly in the oil and gas industry. I've fracked, I've drilled, done more fracking and more drilling into petroleum land management, AKA landman. In short, I have learned to work hard, and I've learned to work together with all types of people, while at the same time keeping my conservative values. I've also learned that a person can make it in America by the sweat of their brow, which I'm extremely proud of. As I said, I came from extremely humble beginnings as a teenager. My wife also works in the oil and gas industry here in New Mexico, and we have 4 children, 4 daughters, and a 2-year-old granddaughter. Sometime through the history, through the communities, through the United States, people have had to figure out how to work together in their communities. And a lot of times it was because of tragedy, be it 9/11 or April 19th, 95 in Oklahoma City when it was attacked by a domestic bomber. Oh, my time's up?
Yeah.
Sorry.
She's got a big sign that says "Time's Up" and 0 on it. So
I got all off into my thing.
I told them I didn't know who I was going to cut off before this evening started, but they're doing pretty good.
Sorry, thank you.
No, good job. First question goes to Mr. Cavan. Regarding recent city council decisions, what do you agree with and what do you disagree with?
Well, first and foremost, I would tell you that the fact that we have a lot of unfunded mandates that are being put on us as local government, whether it's the county, which I've just come from, or the city, you know, minimum wage here in the state of New Mexico is $15 an hour. And the decision that the city council recently made to raise the gross receipts taxes is extremely important, especially if we're looking at having to implement and bring in an ambulance service. We, when the contract was done with the ambulance service at $165,000, and then suddenly to renew the contract, they're looking at 2.5. Fortunately, the city was able to renegotiate that and get it down to 1.5. But we've got to figure out how we are going to fund that type of a situation with our health and safety services here in Roswell. You know, the one thing I know right now that the city is negotiating with our firefighters and police officers and with the core, the backbone of Roswell to help get them the raises that they deserve. But it's gonna take money, and we've spent a lot of money, and we're in debt, and so we've just got to work to get ourselves back in line as far as our finances are concerned.
Okay, Mr. Hensley?
Yeah, I've had a lot of feedback about this too. I don't know if we're quite that in debt. I do know that we need to get our city employees some raises, whatever it takes. It's our duty as citizens, duty as residents of this city to get the police, the fire, parks, rec, everybody who works for the city a decent raise besides just 1%. And you know, there's ways we can find it. And we're not business friendly enough. I know that for sure. I have a small business, so. But and also, I don't think there's enough investment in the future. That's basically what my whole campaign's about, is the future, aka the children. They're the ones that are gonna have to take over this thing, and they're the ones we're fighting for, and I'm really fighting for them because I've got 4 of them. So, and I'm glad everybody's made decisions for different generations, but I think it's time to make new decisions for new generations.
The second question will go first to Mr. Hensley. Some would say the homeless problem is out of control in our community. What can the city do to reverse this problem?
Different ordinances, different outreach, whether it's mental health, but mainly different ordinances. I know a lot of citizens have come up to me and said they're scared half the time. It's not necessarily because of the homeless, but they don't know what quite to do. Sometimes a lot of ladies have come to me saying they have to lock their doors. A lot of ladies have come up to me saying they have to have escorts because they're afraid to go to their car in the evening. So ordinances, but also, you know, be compassionate. Like mental health work with the homeless coalition, things like that, because they're part of the community too. We just need to work with them better.
Mr. Kevin?
You know, Rick, that's a really tough question because, you know, first and foremost, the county and city as local governments, our finances, we're not there to try and financially support the homeless or the behavioral health or things like that. But I do think that there are funds out there that are state and federal dollars that we can apply for those grants and be physical agents for the different entities that we have in Roswell, because we have some great entities that are working on this problem. But we got to get those funds, and then we've got to build a team, and I think we're doing that right now. I know that Commissioner Dana with the Chaves County Board of Commissioners, and I know Christina Arnold, who is the Mayor Pro Tem with the city, are working on this issue right now. We've got a problem, and it's getting bigger. And we've got folks that are coming in from other localities. And the behavioral health part of this deal, I mean, we have people that are brought in here to go to Sunrise, and then when Sunrise is done, after they're there 5-7 days, well, they walk out the door. And you have people that are from other communities that really don't, they just walked into a foreign area and they really don't know where they're at or any of the other logistics for the city of Roswell. So I think it's important that we work as a team to solve this problem. Thank you.
Okay. The third question goes first to Mr. Cavan, and I'll tell you this is the longest question given me for this evening. Okay, so relax. Okay, if we repeat it, we'll be here a long time. COVID has changed our world in recent years from the national level down to our local level. It often seems that Santa Fe is dictating rules for how our community should handle COVID protocol. As a leader of our community and seeking to do what's best for our community, how much of how we handle COVID-type issues should be determined by those outside our community?
Well, that's really a tough question. I mean, the fact of the matter is that the state of New Mexico set the rules and the laws for this state, and so we get put in positions. I mean, the governor just did a deal 2 weeks ago where she told Bernalillo County and Albuquerque that they weren't going to be able to have conceal and carry, or have weapons out on their body, and you saw how that went over. It didn't go over well because Bernalillo and Albuquerque and even her political party even took issue with that. So we've got to use some common sense, and I get it. We live in a nation of laws, and we have to follow the laws. But I don't know how we, as our businesses, when the governor says you have to shut down or we're going to fine you, Well, that's not the city of Roswell finding you. That's the state finding you. Now, we can tell you, stay open all you want to. Mike Harrington, who's standing in the back of the room, sheriff, did a great job during COVID. But those are the types of situations that we have to deal with as a community. And once again, I don't think it's a win-win question that you just asked, because we are law-abiding citizens here in this state, in this country, and we have to follow the rules and the laws, even though others don't. Thank you.
Mr. Hensley?
Yeah, I'll keep this kind of short.
You want me to repeat the question? Good.
I believe in freedom. I believe in listening to the citizens, especially here locally. That's what makes this election so unique, is that they have such access to their representatives. Now, I certainly want to try. I will listen. I will do what I can. But at the same time, I do also believe in law and order, and I believe in the Constitution. And sometimes, whether we like it or not, you know, the governor, in which I don't agree with her 90% of the time, might throw something out. Well, you know, the Constitution says if she has the right to do that, he or she, whoever's in that office, then I'm a law-abiding citizen myself, and I will try to do the best I can, especially here on a local level. But at the same time, follow the laws in the executive branch, not willingly, and we'll certainly let our voices be known. That's for dang sure.
The fourth question will go first to Mr. Hensley. There seems to be a high turnover in the past 2 years in our city staff. Is this something that needs to be addressed?
Yes, we can start with getting them decent pay raises. We can start with getting them decent pay raises. We can work on some housing issues. I know there's different investors trying to make some more affordable housing and things like that here in Chavez County. If you're born and raised here, you might think, well, this is normal. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not normal. They charge way too much. You know, it's probably 10% more here than it is to live in Oklahoma or even Plano, Texas, which is ridiculous. But yeah, you can look up the square footage and all that stuff. But yeah, they have somewhere decent to live, decent schools, and they're not worried about getting shot. And that's another thing I'd like to bring up. I've never known somebody who's ever been shot, or even known somebody who's been shot. Now I don't know somebody who doesn't know somebody who's shot and been killed. That's ridiculous. So, you know, when it comes to city turnover, yeah, they're qualified and they're smart, but, you know, they tend to move on, but they're qualified and smart. And sometimes I can't blame them, but we need to change that.
Mr. Cavan?
You know, change and turnover happens when you have elections and you bring new elected officials in, and sometimes it's for the good and sometimes it's not. When it comes to our firefighters and the backbone of the city of Roswell, you know, unfortunately, we have a lot of people who are, this is home, this is their family, this is where they want to be. But when you have Artesia and Carlsbad and Hobbs and Lovington in those areas that are offering much higher pay because they are actually in the oil and gas and they've got a lot of income that is coming there, it's hard for us to compete. You know, one of the things none of us want to do is raise taxes. But if you're going to do and pay people and keep them here and do those things, then with that comes having to raise taxes and fund that budget so that you can keep those people here. We've got a lot of great people here. We need more great people here. Out at the Air Center, if we would get that going out there, business friendly, I mean, things would be great here. We'd get over 50,000. We would be in great shape. But we've got to be more business friendly. And the turnover rate, well, unfortunately, that happens for a lot of different reasons. But I think we're in a really, really good place right now with the new people that have been hired, especially city attorney and finance and those positions that have been turned over. So thank you.
Okay, the fifth and final question will go first to Mr. Hensley. If you could have dinner with just one person, living or dead, who would it be and why?
I actually thought about that. One of the first things that kind of pops into my head is Jesus. But
a little bit closer.
yeah. But no, if I could, I would have. I'd like to be able to spend some time with my grandfather. He was a tough guy. Came basically in a horse wagon. He was my father was actually the first person in my family ever born in a hospital. But he was a man that taught me a lot and showed me what it was to work hard. The guy never stopped working his whole life. He was out welding and he was a cattle rancher. But yeah, if there was anybody, it would be my grandfather. I miss him.
Mr. Kevin?
Well, I'm going to break your rule, Rick, because if I were having dinner, I would have dinner like I used to, where I sat down with my mom and dad and Barbara and Robert O. Anderson. And those two couples were absolutely phenomenal, amazing. They made me who I am today. The fact that I learned from them how to visit with people, how to talk with people. You know, you have Robert O. Anderson and my dad both. You know, Robert O. being more the world-renowned figure, but he knew how to talk with people, and he didn't talk from up here, he talked from here. He could talk up and down the ladder, side to side, and my dad was the same way. So those two couples, all the difference in the world to my life, and greatly appreciate them.
At this time, we'll allow both candidates to share closing thoughts. Let me call first on you, Mr. Kevin.
Oh,
Your closing thoughts.
I apologize.
That's good.
So real quick, thank you to the Roswell Leadership Alumni Association or organization or whatever the last part of that is for hosting this. You guys do a great job with it every year. Put on a great show. I would just close it that, you know, my big deal is that we as a community have to come together and work as a team. We have to team up. The city, the county, the schools, all the organizations we have, because we have a lot of issues that we need to deal with, and we need to be a team and put politics aside, put your personal feelings aside, and let's work together to solve the problems. That's imperative for us, and we haven't been doing that here as of late. And I think we have a great group right now on the city council, a new mayor, great folks at the county, great folks at the school district. We work together to get things done. I use an example. We just got a deal done with the land swap for the school district. They're going to build a new Nancy Lopez Elementary north of Mesa Middle School, and Nancy Lopez is going to become an active shooter training facility. So I would just say that I have the knowledge, I have the experience, I have the passion, and I have the time to be a great city councilor for the city of Roswell. And I would appreciate you all's vote come November 7th. Early voting starts on October 8th. Thank you all.
Hey, Mr. Hensley.
Yes, I'd like to say complacency. I think we get complacent in this community. Crime, poor jobs, expensive houses, problems in our school, and again, crime. Roswell needs change. Everybody knows it, and it's been kind of the same thing going on and on. Well, right now is your chance to change. I'm new to this, but I'm a fighter. I've worked my whole life to my back is literally, I've had 2 back fusions, but I will continue to fight hard, and I humbly ask for your vote, because right now we can change.
On behalf of the sponsors for this evening and those here in attendance in our community, we appreciate both of you participating this evening and seeking to lead our city in Ward 2. Good luck to both of you. So Hannah Robertson and I were on the radio on Monday. She said 2 candidates have the same name, and she was referring to Ward 3. Luckily, they have different last names, but let me introduce you to the two candidates running for Ward 3. Immediately to my left is Matthew Chappell, and on his left is Matthew B. Thomas. At this time, we'll allow each of them to have opening comments. Mr. Chappell?
Good evening, my name's, Good evening, my name's Matthew Chappell. I am I'm seeking your vote for Ward 3. I have spent about 20 years in civil service, or approaching 20 years in civil service. I was in the Navy prior to this. I've worked with city councils. I've been involved in over 100 civic organizations throughout my travels in the world, and I've been involved in about 13 civic organizations in Roswell, New Mexico now, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
And Mr. Thomas?
Is it on? Okay. I'm sure you've heard this all day, but thank you, Leadership Roswell Alumni Association, for putting this together. Thank you, the residents of Roswell, New Mexico, both present and watching on. This is for you to learn us, learn who we are. A little bit. I'm Matthew Thomas. I live in Ward 3. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a Navy veteran as well, and an employee of the oil and gas industry. In addition to that, I'm a coach of the Roswell Youth Soccer Association and the president of my children's school PTO. So to me, children are paramount to our community. They're the main reason I'm doing this. I hope, if elected, to establish a youth council. I believe that within our youth is the hope and future of our community of Roswell's greatness. I plan to establish that youth council to help bridge that gap between our city employees, our leadership, and the younger generation who will eventually come on to lead and guide Roswell in the future. Thank you.
The first question will be asked first of Mr. Chappell. Of the issues you think are important to the City Council this term, what is the single most important issue you have at the top of your list, and what are your plans to make sure it happens?
Thank you for the question, Rick. My biggest issue right now is police funding, firefighter funding, and EMS funding. But probably the one that tops that most of all is transparency of the city. I do think they should be a separate branch. That way that the citizens, the council, and the employees of the city can have full transparency. That way that there's no interference with what is coming out of the city auditor's office.
Okay, Mr. Thomas?
Yes. Along the same guidelines, I believe funding of our city employees is key. We can't run without the employees, with the infrastructure, with the equipment to operate and facilitate the needs of the residents of Roswell. The 1% pay increase they got this year, it's depressing. It's kind of a slap in the face. But I think we can do better. I think we can improve on that. And our first responders are important as well. I know the state just recently authorized an increase of, I believe, $45 million to assist with recruitment of police across the state, coming out to something like 340 new positions across the state. So that'll help out with the recruitment of our police forces here. And then we just have to build on that and continue to help provide for our city employees.
Okay, the second question will go first to Mr. Thomas. Are we doing enough to promote economic development in our community, and are we spending our city funds effectively on economic development?
So the Roswell-Chavez County Economic Development Committee is doing an amazing job. There's an amazing team. They're reaching out. They're looking for new opportunities, new growth in the city. I know they just recently got back from the Reno air races, scouting that, trying to get that here. If we can draw that into Roswell, it'll be a huge boost to our economy. It brings in, I believe, somewhere around $190 million a year. And it's not just a one-time event. It's a several-month event spanning a couple of months, qualifier races, new races. But they're doing an amazing job. That committee is just doing awesome, and I believe we have a bright future ahead of us.
Okay. Mr. Chappell?
I couldn't agree. I was actually on that committee. We went to Reno. It'll bring about $100 million a year into Roswell. When we were in Reno, we did an amazing job. So I'm sorry, to answer your question first, the city can never do enough for more economic jobs to come to Roswell, and I do think that they are doing a wonderful job of using their funds. But while we were in Reno, we were handing out pins. It was an absolutely incredible time. We got over 4 billion Facebook and social media hits for the city of Roswell, asking what Alien Fest was, what we're doing, and what the city of Roswell is all about. So we went there to buy a race, and we bought a community and a family that's now invested in Roswell. More than the race is going to come here. We are going to get economic development here that we've never asked for before. That's going to bring tons of jobs for every single person, from top leadership all the way down. So I think that the city's doing a wonderful job. We could always do more. I don't think anyone in the audience or up here will ever say we have too many jobs or we have enough economic development.
Okay, the third question will go first to Mr. Chappell. Our nation, our state, and even our community seem to be divided in this stage of our history. How important is unity at this time, and how can this be accomplished?
Unity is incredibly important. It's the only way we can get things done. We all have to reach across the aisle to get things done. I believe that the only way to unify everyone is to go back, and I know the sheriff believes in this, is constitutional law. Is it in the Constitution? Yes or no, and that's it. And I truly, truly believe that.
Okay. Mr. Thomas?
So, cooperation is key in any venture, whether it's business, whether it's planning, events. We don't have to respect, no, well, take that back. We have to respect each other's opinions. We don't have to necessarily agree. The ability for our city leaders to gather everyone across the community, regardless of political beliefs, or personal beliefs, that's the only way we can make progress in this city. I like working with different groups. I love different opinions. I like not necessarily arguing, but debating. Debates bring people together. It shares ideas. It changes people's minds. And I think if we can just get together, get our community leaders together, communicate, talk, we can work through any difficulty, any difference we have.
Okay, the fourth question will go first to Mr. Thomas. Every Roswell citizen wants to live in a safe community. How good of a job are we doing fighting crime, and how can we improve on this battle?
So that's a tough issue. Roswell is I think we're ranked number 4 on the most dangerous cities in New Mexico. Crime is an issue here, but it doesn't have to be. I believe that with an increase in our police funding, we can work that. But even more so, it's community involvement. It's getting resources to social programs, to entities out there that can help assist with this. We need to find the root cause. We had to find where it starts and begin working with everyone involved, whether it's the homeless population, working with the groups that deal with them, with social service, with mental health, whatever the issue is, we need to come together as a community, find the resources, and if we can start at the beginning and stop it before it begins, we can work towards a better community and a better Roswell.
Mr. Chappell?
Can you please repeat the question, right?
Sure. Every Roswell citizen wants to live in a safe community. How good of a job are we doing fighting crime, and how can we improve on this battle?
I do believe that we are doing an incredible job at fighting crime. Every single person that suits up every single day, we're asking an extreme amount of them. They're dealing, I know we just got updated vehicles, but they were dealing with old vehicles, old routines and old practices and policies that have just been updated through the efforts of their new leadership that they have now. They're doing an incredible job, day in, day out, every single night. They're working right now while we're here, and they're going to continue working while we're sleeping. We are asking so much of them, and we're going to ask more of them as our population increases. I think that the only way we can continue to combat that and deal with high-level professionals that we are now is increase commerce. We need a bigger tax base. We need to increase our revenue so we can pay them more, hire more officers, hire more correction facility officers. We need to do more for them. So I think that it's really on the citizens, not on the police force, to deal with crime.
The fifth and final question will be asked first of Mr. Thomas. If you could use only one word for leadership, what would it be and why?
Respect. A true leader respects all of his followers, everybody around him, regardless of who they are, where they come from, and what they've done. Respect is the most important and key aspect of leadership.
Mr. Chaplin?
Mine would be perseverance. It doesn't matter what stands in front of you. You lead your team, you will be a dripping faucet if you have to. If there's an obstacle or a goal, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's crime, if it's commerce, if it's attracting more businesses to Roswell, you are a dripping frickin' faucet. You conquer. That's it.
Okay. I don't know if we need to beep that or not, but we get the point. At this time, we'll give time for closing comments. Mr. Chaplin, your thoughts?
Thank you again, Leadership Roswell Alumni Association, the RISD, and the City of Roswell for hosting us, allowing us to be in this beautiful facility. Thank you, Mr. Kraft, for allowing you and your beautiful wife to be here. I'd like to thank all the spouses here, especially my beautiful wife. She loves me, and she knows everything that's wrong about me, so thank you. Just vote for Matthew. That's all that I have.
Mr. Thomas, Matthew Thomas?
It's a little bit confusing. Again, thank you everybody for being here. Thank Leadership Roswell Alumni Association, the residents for being here, tuning in. I have a vision for Roswell. It's a vision of hope. Win or lose, regardless of what happens in November, I plan to continue with that vision, and I want to continue to strive to help improve Roswell. I believe we have the potential to be a very, very welcoming and open city. We truly can be a gem of Southeast New Mexico. I want to encourage the residents to keep voicing your opinions. Keep that. All right. We had the housing forum Tuesday, and there was a lot of passionate talk that came out of that. The other thing I want to do is hold our feet to the fire. I want you to keep us, whoever gets elected, whoever is currently in office, keep us accountable. This is our future. This is our community. We can only go up. Thank you.
On behalf of those here this evening, those watching at home and our community, we appreciate both of you seeking the City Councilor seat for Ward 3. Good luck to both of you. Before we finish up with the final two awards, let me just talk briefly about the Leadership Roswell Alumni Association. It's comprised of graduates of the Leadership Roswell program. Besides doing candidate forums, the Alumni Association has an annual awards dinner in June each year usually, where we recognize leaders in the community and the good things that they've done. We also have a teen program which is partnered with NMMI, which is doing great things for juniors and seniors in Roswell and in the area there. But it is a good organization. I know everything it touches comes out well, so when the decision was made to do this forum, I had no worries about it coming together. So let me turn to Ward 4. We've got 3 candidates for Ward 4. Joseph Russell Green is one of the 3 candidates. He wanted to be here tonight, but his daughter's getting married on Saturday out of town. He had to leave on Wednesday to go prepare for that. So we've got 2 candidates here. We're glad to have both of them. On my immediate right is Alicia Cesaris Gilmore, and on her right is Daryl Johnson. And we'll give each of you a chance to share your opening comments. Let me start with Ms. Gilmore.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to start off by thanking the Leadership Roswell Alumni Program for putting on this forum. I know it takes countless hours to put on, and so I really appreciate it. My name is Alicia Cáceres Gilmore, and I'm running for City Council Ward 4. I'm honored to be here this evening to share my vision with the city and to answer all these questions. I was born and raised in this city, and I love it here. I believe that it's a great place to raise a family, start a business, and enjoy life. However, I also know that the city faces some challenges. We need to address the rising cost of housing. We need to address code enforcement, wasted spending in the budget, and our homeless issue. We also need to invest in our infrastructure and our city employees. I am running for city council because I believe that we can do better. I have a proven track record of getting things done. I have served on several boards in town and volunteered whenever I can, giving me frontline experience. I have been a vocal advocate for affordable housing, smart growth, and sustainability. If I'm elected to City Council, I will work to make our city more affordable to everyone, invest in our infrastructure in a proper manner, create high-paying jobs to grow our economy, and make our city more inclusive and welcoming. I believe that our city has a bright future, and I'm committed to working with you to make it a reality. Thank you for your time. Thank you to Leadership Roswell, and thank you to the voters. I look forward to answering our questions.
Mr. Johnson, your opening thoughts? I think you may need to move it closer.
All right, can you hear me now? All right, check, check.
We were prepared for a green light and a red light, but not one that flashes.
Okay, well, we definitely need to work on our signals here in Roswell, and but I got the green light. But once again, thank you, and I appreciate everything. Listen, I'm currently an employee for New Mexico Department of Transportation. I'm the Chief Financial Officer there, General Business Manager, and you know, I took a train wreck of some of our finances there in our district office. And back in the day, we had a flat budget, and it was very scary because we were every day expected to do more with less. And once again, we have 7,500 lane miles to do, and it was almost impossible because we were always promising to do more with less, you know. And I'm not going to sit here and say, we need to do this, we need to do that, and we need to finance this, we need to finance that. You know, it's time to say, you know, sometimes we need to scale back a little bit in the city of Roswell. We do have some financial issues. I mean, when I saw in 2019 when we were actually spending more money than we were bringing in, I knew it was an issue. So my goal right now is to be a little more comprehensive and put more thought into our expenditures and handle the city's budget. Thank you.
Okay, the first question we ask of Ms. Gilmore. What have you done to serve our community in the past that equips you to serve as a city councilor?
Well, thank you for the question, Rick. Well, I'm a business owner, and so I work, you know, with budgets every day. I got to make sure the budget is right so I can continue to run my business. And the city of Roswell is a business. So I believe that my experience in business will help me on the seat in Ward 4. I also believe that, you know, I'm currently secretary on the Community Kitchen Board. I've been on that board for about 4 years now, where I also help with the budget and the finance. I also sit on the Roswell Association of Realtors as the director, and you know, I feel like I have what it takes to sit on city council and make the right decisions for the right reasons.
Mr. Johnson?
What was the question again, sir?
What have you done to serve our community in the past that equips you to serve as a city councilor?
Okay, well, I've done a lot of volunteering for Youth Football League for 4 years. I've coached Little League Baseball for 10 years. Following all the children around was very important to me, you know. And as a vice president of the Lions Hondo Little League, making sure all the kids were growing up and staying off the streets. And it was very important to see a lot of these kids grow up, and seeing them nowadays, some of them I don't even recognize, coming up to me and thanking me as a father figure to a lot of them. And I even created programs to help fund some of the children, made sure they played sports. I picked them up, took them to games, and you know, it's just a great feeling to see all these children out there now. I've also, you know, I go to the council meetings a lot. I go to the infrastructure meetings. I go to the Legislative Finance Committee meetings. I'm always putting a voice out. I'm talking to the councilors a lot. You know, and it's important to me to see the city thrive, and sometimes, you know, working for the community, you have to make some hard decisions. And with the children I did, and now I see an opportunity to do this with the city. And I really am looking forward to working with the city council. I have already a good rapport with them, and I look forward to it.
The second question will go first to Mr. Johnson. The city owns a substantial amount of property. How can the city better allocate its resources considering maintenance and upkeep issues that comes with property ownership?
You know, maybe selling some of the land would be a great opportunity for expanding our budget and a small revenue stream. But comprehensive thought put into what we could do with it, is also an option. I know out at the airport, there's, you know, we got one of the biggest runways, or the biggest runway in the world. And we have a great marketing team right now that's working on a lot of land out there. There's a lot of opportunity out there, getting those assets out there, being rented, being utilized. Some of the vacant lots, I'm not a big fan of those. It seems like that's work the city has to do to mow them, do upkeep. I think a lot of our investments should be like in our water infrastructure and our streets. And, you know, there's always an opportunity for revenue, but I think the airport is our biggest goal right now. And I think if we look and keep investing in the marketing strategy on that, I think it'll go far. And I think the revenue source would be there, and it could create more growth to the city of Roswell. And most of all, you know, everybody wants to talk about financing this, financing that. Well, none of that is going to happen. None of that is going to happen unless we expand our growth and start creating more revenue streams to the city of Roswell.
Okay, Ms. Gilmore?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. The city owns a substantial amount of property. How can the city better allocate its resources considering maintenance and upkeep issues that come with property ownership?
Well, I would love to see the city develop some affordable housing, as we don't have very much of that right now. I would love to see some rezoning for multifamily development across the entire city, not just in one area. I would like to see rezoning for double-wide mobile homes in all areas of town to make room for mobile homes. I think doing this will beautify the city. People will take over and people will take care of their properties. They'll also be reconnected to water, sewer, and it will generate revenue for the city. I also feel like our homeless problem is a huge issue. And if we can get them housed in some of that property that's vacant, I think that it will really help our city and our downtown as well.
Okay, the third question will go first to Ms. Gilmore. If elected, how much time do you expect to commit to the city council position, considering the time it takes to interact with constituents, committee meetings, city council meetings, which often run long, and time it takes to prepare meetings?
I will commit to as much time as it takes. I have energy and I have a babysitter for my daughter and son, so I'm good to stay as long as I need. I will talk to everybody in the city if I have to, and I'll make sure that all your voices are heard so that I can represent you to the best of my ability.
Mr. Johnson?
You know, I'm already there, so I already attend these meetings. I'm totally involved. You know, I actually pulled their whole financial statement this week. And, you know, I look at a lot of challenges the city has done. I've looked at a lot of movement in funds. We call them ROBs. That's an acronym for realignment of budget. And I see where money has been taken out of infrastructure budgets. It's very troubling to me. I see where, you know, a lot of money has been moved around that it's very disheartening. So, and I didn't want to go on a tangent there, but all my time would be definitely allocated to it. You know, like I do with the Little League teams, like I do with my job, like I do with everything I've ever started. I'm in it to win it, and I'm totally committed. And anybody that knows me knows that's what I do, and I'm I got a good will, and I follow through. And the city council is not something that you just sign up for and kiss babies and and give out hugs. You know, it's you roll up your sleeves, you go to work, and you put thought into everything you do. And there's a lot of thought, and there's a lot of weighing pros and cons and looking at situations. And there's a lot of times, you know, you just can't tell everybody all the time, yeah, everything's going to be good, this is the way it's going to roll out. Sometimes you have to really come up with a hard truth and tell the facts as they are. You know, I heard a lot of the candidates, and I heard it said many times tonight, transparency, transparency, and I'm very transparent.
The fourth question will go first to Mr. Johnson. Considering its impact on our community, if you were forced to cut the city's budget 10%, what would you cut, and what would you make sure is not cut?
You know, our essentials are first. You know, our employees are our assets, and that, you know, it would be a hard one to cut first. You know, and first of all, you would look at why we cut it and how we're going to eliminate this cut. But you know, the first thing you would do is look at taking care of our employees. You know, that's first and foremost, because those are our assets. We can't ever lose our employees. We can't lose our firemen. We can't lose our police officers. That would be very important. You know, what we would cut, I probably would be, you know, I hate, and that's what we're doing now, is we would have to start on our infrastructure, you know, and then we would have to work our way down. But you can't ever give up, and infrastructure important, but you know, our employees are our backbone, and once you turn your back on them, you've pretty much turned your back on everybody. And the city of Roswell, I hope, never has to go through those cuts, but sometimes those hard decisions have to be made, and infrastructure would probably be one that you would have to look at, but you just want to touch it. I mean, you kind of caught me off guard on that one without really stopping and doing a lot of comprehensive thought on that one. You know, you would have to say, hey, I'm sorry, we're not going to water, we're not going to cut the grass, we're not going to fix this street, and you know, it'd be some hard love.
Okay. Ms. Gilmore?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Considering its impact on our community, if you were forced to cut the city's budget 10%, what would you cut, and what would you make sure is not cut?
Thank you for that question. Actually, today I took a look at the budget, and it's 174 pages long. So it's very extensive, and I would need to really do some work at looking at each thing. However, I did notice that our parks budget is very high. I was thinking maybe we could take 2% from 5 budgets to make 10% somewhere else. Maybe we could use that money for creating affordable housing, tenant assistance, preventing evictions. Also, you know, if we could get more things for our kids to do here, like, you know, maybe an aquarium, or improving our you know, like Lions Hondo Little League is in my ward, and they need work. So I definitely think that if we could cut a couple of percents from several things, we could create 10% and use it towards something that our city really needs.
Okay, the fifth and final question will go first to Mr. Johnson. To be an effective leader, you must be able to deal with critical people. What do you feel is the best way to handle critical people?
Well, you know, I deal with critical people already, and you know, as a CFO, I sign for all of our expenditures, and telling somebody no is very harsh sometimes, because they come up and they sell it to you, and then to actually tell them why they can't, how it affects our total budget, how it's going to affect the long-term effect, and you know, it's a chain reaction cause. And you know, it's not easy sometimes, and in a lot of instances, they're in contrast. It's like your kids. You know, you buy one for one, you have to get them for everybody, and you know, I deal with that all the time. And you do it with a smile. Sometimes they don't show you. They show you a little it's a little disrespectful to you sometimes, but you just got to smile and you just keep going forward. You know, it's part of my game already. It's part of being in the political field. And, you know, haters are going to be haters, but, you know, part of your persona has to be, you know, you always have to have a smile. You always have to shake hands. And sometimes you can feel that handshake's a little cold, but, you know, you just keep going forward. And that's how life is. And you just got to be the bigger person. And it'll take you far, trust me.
Okay, Ms. Gilmore.
Please repeat that question, Rick.
To be an effective leader, you must be able to deal with critical people. What do you feel is the best way to handle critical people?
So in my opinion, we have lost the ability to collaborate with others, especially on the city council and, you know, in the city in general. I would appreciate the opposing opinion, and I will always keep an open mind when listening to the opposing opinion. That's why I believe I am the best candidate for this seat. I am always willing to listen. I have an open mind, and I'm always willing to learn.
Okay, at this time, we'll give both candidates the opportunity to share your closing thoughts. Let me first call on you, Ms. Gilmore, your thoughts in closing.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with all of you tonight. I'm Alicia Cáceres Gilmore, running for City Council Ward 4 because I believe our city has the potential to be even better than it is today. I have a vision for the city that is affordable, inclusive, and sustainable. I want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to succeed regardless of their income, background, and race. I want to create a city where everyone feels welcomed and respected, and I want to protect our city for future generations. I'm committed to working with all members of the community and the council to achieve these goals. I'm a good listener, and I will always put the needs of our citizens first. If I'm elected to City Council Ward 4, I will work hard to make our city a better place for everyone. I hope that you will give me your votes this November 7th on Election Day. Thank you.
Mr. Johnson, your closing thoughts?
Yeah, thanks. You know, I'm a lifelong resident of Roswell. I think my mom told me for the 5th generation. But, you know, I've watched Roswell over many years. You know, we've had a lot of failures and we've had a lot of successes, you know, and it seems like sometimes we're repeating our failures, and it's sad. But we need to build on our successes, try to eliminate our failures. You know, and I spoke earlier about the airport. Marketing the airport is very important, you know. Everybody has these pipe dreams of all the money we want to spend and do all these great things, but getting a revenue stream is very important for the city of Roswell. If we want to improve our financial status, that's what we got to do. You know, that's going to open many doors. And to, you know, we all want to, one of my biggest things is, you know, our law enforcement, our fire department, you know, they're all leaving. They get trained, we spend a lot of money on them, we invest in them, and we watch them leave, you know. And I've heard a lot of people say this. I mean, I know I'm echoing a lot of the same things I've heard all night, but, you know, having a good marketing strategy with our airport, I'm telling you, that's a good revenue source. And I think we had really put a lot of money into our marketing strategy on that. We're going to get a 100-fold return. And, you know, I think our finances really need to be improved if we want to start really having all these pipe dreams. I mean, we do have a lot of problems in Roswell, and they're serious problems, and we need serious people to address them. And I'm Darrell Johnson. I'm running for Ward 4, and I am serious, and I will do you a good job.
On behalf of those here this evening, our community, those watching on TV, we appreciate both of you coming out and participating this evening. Good luck to both of you in seeking the Ward 4 City Council position. Okay, we'll finish tonight with the 2 candidates for Ward 5. And the 2 candidates immediately close to me is Barry Foster, the incumbent, and Carlos Marujo. Okay, I'll do my best. I took French when everyone else took Spanish in Southern California. Welcome to both of you. We're glad you're here. Councilor Foster, you have the first opening comments. Go ahead.
Thank you, Rick. I do want to thank the Roswell Leadership Alumni for putting this on. These forums help Roswell hear from their prospective candidates.
My name is Barry Foster. My wife, Stephanie, and I have had the privilege of raising our 4 kids in Roswell. In 1993, we moved back to Roswell, so my wife could start her teaching career, which she's in her 31st year. I went to work for Leprino Foods, and during that time, we completed our family with our 4th child. Finally, we got a daughter. And which quickly after that, I quit and went back to school to finish my teaching career, and I'm in my 19th year of teaching, my 10th year of teaching at Monterey Elementary. I've coached football at Roswell High. I've coached wrestling at Roswell High. I am a founding member of Grace Community Church, and I've worked on the Policy Council for the Head Start for Southeastern New Mexico, and I've been on the council off and on from 2010 to present. I've seen many things. I've personally gone up to Santa Fe, brought back $350,000 for a splash pad at Carpenter Park, and the finest thing that I'm really proud of is we finally got a park built at the Chisholm school site. Thank you.
Mr. Marujo, your opening comments?
Like I said, my name is Carlos Marujo Jr. I've lived here in Roswell my whole life. I've been married to Valerie Marujo for 38 years. We've raised 2 children, Carlos III and Rebecca Marujo. My son Carlos is employed at New Mexico Military Institute as Associate Director of the Toll Center. He is also the head advisor for the junior college. My daughter, she works for the Roswell Independent School District. She is a PE coach at Missouri Avenue, and she is a head softball coach at Roswell High. We have raised 1 niece and 2 nephews. The oldest one is my niece. She is a senior at Texas Tech University. The second one is Amarante. He is a junior at Roswell High, and then Angel, who is an 8th grader at Mountain View Middle School. As for employment, I worked at Safeway grocery stores from August 16th, 1981 to 1988 till Furr's Supermarkets bought us out. Now I am employed at Eastern New Mexico University Roswell as a custodial supervisor. I have been there for the past 10 years. Roswell, I love Roswell, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make it a better place to live. During this campaign, win or lose, I'll be a Roswell resident, I'll be a New Mexican, and I'll be an American citizen.
The first question we asked first of Councilor Foster, there seems to be a high turnover in the past 2 years in our city staff. Is this something that needs to be addressed?
Yes. The cost of hiring people is very expensive. While I worked for Leprino, our turnover at Leprino was very high, and we went in and did a study where it cost us $7,500 every time we hired someone to get them to a training, to get them to the point where they were actually doing their job. So yes, we have a high turnover. It's a high stress job at lots of times, but that is something we also have to come back and look at. A lot of times the stress is caused by, I hate to say it, the elected officials, when it's really our city manager who's in charge of our staff. And our city elected officials get involved, and they shouldn't be involved in any of the hiring or the, not the hiring portion, but the day-to-day operations. It's the city manager's job to run our city, and we need to be able to trust him and make sure he's doing the job, and that's who we should be going to and not causing stress to our other employees. Thank you.
Mr. Marujo? Sure. There seems to be a high turnover in the past 2 years in our city staff. Is this something that needs to be addressed?
Yes, it does need to be addressed. It seems like that's all over, competing for wages. I know in the police force they're competing with other cities nearby that are paying more, and I think we need to be competitive with our wages for all our city employees, and not just you know, it's just getting worse and worse. People are wanting to live for higher paid jobs, even though they have to leave Roswell, which we don't want that to happen. We need them to keep them here. And even at the university where I work at, we're having to compete with other schools and trying to compete with those wages. So I think we need to look at what we're paying our employees and see if we can compete with those other cities here nearby.
The second question will be asked first of Mr. Maruhu. Some would say the homeless problem is out of control in our community. What can the city do to reverse the problem?
You know, it seems like it is getting worse. I mean, we can go downtown, back streets. We're just seeing the homeless becoming bigger every day. And I know we talked about this the other day about what can we do. I mean, we need to find something that either we talked about tiny homes where they can afford. I think if we can do something like that. Trailer homes, manufactured homes, anything to make it better for our homeless people that they could afford. You know, it's just not, it's not just here, it's everywhere. It's in Albuquerque, it's no better. Las Cruces, no better. But I think if we can try and get these people out on the streets and try and get them some kind of help, I think that we can make it a better place for them to live.
Councilor Foster.
We do seem to be getting more and more homeless, and it is a problem. In 2005, I led a mission trip to San Francisco, and we did a homeless mission on the streets, and we're not there yet, but we're getting there. At that time, I think, I can't even remember if they said 24,000 homeless people were living in San Francisco, or was it 10? There was a lot. But what we have to do to address the situation is it's not just a housing situation, it's a mental health situation. And Christina Arnold and Dara Dana are working on it, and the city can help with the Homeless Coalition and help them, but as far as the city leading the charge, we need our Homeless Coalition and the groups, and we need more mental health facilitator or practitioners down here that can work with, because a lot of these people, if you give them a place, they don't want a place. They want to be out in the open. They don't want rules, and so it's that tough situation, and it takes more than just. There's not just one panacea that's going to fix it all. We all have to work together. Thank you.
The third question will be asked first of Councilor Foster. How do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process in Roswell?
Well, a great way of doing it is, I get phone calls all the time, but our city, my phone number is on the city website. We do have committees for the library, not the museum and the parks. But the best thing is to be out talking to people. That's one of the things about the campaign cycle that I love, is going door to door and talking and getting individuals' opinions on what's happening. Because first of all, I see what's happening from my perspective, and getting many different perspectives is that's the campaign cycle. When you're talking to many people in your ward, you're getting to see what they see of Roswell, and getting them, getting the education, not the education, but the information out. I think the city does a great job now that we have all our committee meetings are on the web. You can go back and YouTube them. Our city council meetings are on the web. You can go back and listen to them. It's amazing how much you can keep up with what's happening in our city government. But also we've got to do a better job of advertising what's happening in our city. Thank you.
Mr. Marujo? Sure. How do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process here in Roswell?
Well, I think listening to the residents of Roswell and just see what they have to say and talking to them and see what they expect out of the council. It's going to be tough to, this is all new to me, so I mean, I'm kind of, like I said, I think just listening to your residents of your city, seeing what you can do for them, and I think that's mostly it. Is what listen to the residents, listen to the people, and not necessarily knock on their door, but open it up to them, bring them in to the council meetings, and listening to them.
Okay, the fourth question will be asked first of Mr. Marujo. Our nation, our state, and even our community seem to be divided in this stage of our history. How important is unity at this time, and how can this be accomplished?
Well, I believe that, we are divided, and it's not just here in Roswell, the state, or the nation. We are divided, and we need to come together and make decisions. Come as a team. I believe in doing teamwork together, and like I said, we're not going to agree on everything that we do. I mean, it could be 10 and 7 are going to agree, 3 are going to disagree. But I think we need to come together, regardless of the decision that we don't like. We still need to support. We need to support each other's decisions, whether it's the mayor, other council. We have to support each other. If we don't support each other, then we're kind of banging heads. So I think as a council, we have to come together.
Councilor Foster?
Thank you. I don't understand where it's come down to a point where I disagree with you.
Yeah, that's the flasher.
All right, juggling mics. This is fun. Okay, I don't understand where if I disagree with you, then I hate you. I mean, it's like, it's not that way. I mean, well, I look out in the audience and I see a lady that I have so much respect for, Miss Judy Stubbs. She and I would disagree on things, but she knew way better than I did. I was probably wrong 70% of the time. I'll admit that. The other thing is we've got to be able to do things. I'll tell you this, and Carlos may agree with me, may not, but Carlos and I are friends. We've been friends, and we will be friends after this. It doesn't matter who wins, and we've told each other that. Valerie graduated with my wife, Stephanie, so we've known each other for years, and I respect him. He's a great guy. Now, I do want you to vote for me, but I may be voting for him. But that's where it should be able to. We should be able to do that. And in our society, something's gone totally wrong. When just because I disagree with you on an issue doesn't mean we should hate each other.
Okay, the fifth and final question will be asked first of Mr. Marujo. If you could use only one word for leadership, what would it be and why? If you could use only one word for leadership, what would it be and why?
Somebody like a mentor, somebody you can look up to and just look up to them as a leader. That's what I feel is a leader, is a mentor. I could tell you about a great man that just passed, Rudy Barola. He was a mentor to us. We looked up to him. We followed him. He was amazing, brilliant. So I feel being a mentor to everybody is a leader. If it's a mayor, a counselor, a president of a university, a principal, you can have some great teachers that are mentors to you. So I believe a mentor is a great leader.
Councilor Foster?
One word, servanthood, servant. And that's the privilege that I've had to be a servant, the counselor. Nothing makes me happier when someone calls and says, my trash can's turned over. Can you help me? And I don't care what ward you're in. This gentleman was in Ward 2. I said, yeah, I can call. And then I said, I can drive up and turn it over. And so I went and turned his, I had just Friday, I had an email from one of the fathers of one of my kids that I've taught, and he goes, the park over here at Chisholm that is getting built, they've left a mess. And so I drove over there, and sure enough, the workers had left it a mess. But the best thing about that one is I pulled up, and there's like 8 junior hires out on the grass playing, and I could see that it's been needed, and it was needed. And then I called our park superintendent, and said, hey, look, your guys need to start cleaning up after themselves after were putting the equipment in. But servanthood is the best, and that's the only really reason you should be looking at a city leadership position is to help people, because that is what makes it worth it.
Okay, at this time, we'll allow both candidates to share closing comments. Let me call first on Councilor Foster for your closing thoughts.
Thank you. It's a privilege to live in Roswell. I had a friend of mine. There are headaches. I won't lie to you. There are headaches for being on city council. But when I saw those kids playing on a park that I've fought and fought and fought for 8 years to get built, it made it worth it. My kids know when they come back to town that I'm going to drive by Carpenter Park with splash pads going and kids are playing, because it makes me feel good to see that kids are getting to enjoy. My major job and my passion is kids, and I want the best for Roswell. I have 4 kids. I have 50% of them still living in Roswell. I have 1 looking at moving back. I don't think I can get the other one, but I'm trying. And that's what's been wrong with Roswell. How many of our kids have moved out and not come back? Roswell's a great community. We have things that big cities would love to have. Do we have problems? Yes. Is it a scary place to live? No. My wife, for the last 15 years, has got up at 3:30 in the morning and walked 5 miles in the dark with her friend. They've never had a major problem. It's not that dangerous. Vote. I appreciate your support.
Mr. Marujo, your closing thoughts?
I agree. I love Roswell. I plan on never moving out of Roswell. I enjoy it here. I raised my family here. I really think we need to concentrate on our youth. We're losing our youth, and that's going to be a main focus if I do win this election, is our youth. You know, even adults, we're not bringing any people to Roswell. I mean, we need to do something for our adults also. Our skate park is probably one of the worst in the state. I mean, you go anywhere else, they're beautiful. There's adults, there's children that want to go to that skate park, but I think we need to improve it. Also, I was looking at the Roswell Boys Club. We used to go over there and have a blast. We'd go from 3:30 to 9 o'clock. Now I see it's open from 10 to 6. How are kids going to get 2.5 hours out of anything? And then they want to charge $40 a week. When we went, it was $5 a year. Yeah, I know times have changed, things have gotten more expensive. You know, what do they do from 10 to 3 when they have no kids? We need to improve that to bring these kids back. And then they have a limit of how many kids we'll take at the boys club? I don't agree with that. Our youth need the Roswell Boys and Girls Club. They need it. So that's what I'm looking at, is the youth, looking at the youth, and also bringing adults back to Roswell. Thank you.
On behalf of our community, those here this evening, our sponsors, we appreciate both of you coming out and participating here this evening. Good luck to both of you seeking the Ward 5 seat. We appreciate Roswell Independent School District and the City of Roswell coming together to help co-sponsor the forum and allow this to occur this evening. We appreciate greatly KSVPTV.com broadcasting this live. and this will be available once they post it for anyone that would like to watch it later on Pecos Valley Broadcasting. If you have further questions, a great website is nmvote.com. Log on to that site, nmvote.com, and your questions will probably be answered, or call the county clerk, which is overseeing this. On behalf of Leadership Roswell Alumni Association, thank each one of you for coming out here this evening. We do appreciate the candidates coming out and participating too. We hope that all goes well this next election. Get out and vote. Encourage others to get out and vote too. God bless you, and God bless Roswell.
And that concludes our Leadership Roswell Alumni Association Candidate Forum. If you missed any part of it, I invite you to check it out at your leisure. You can log on right now to our website, ksvptv.com. You'll find the Candidate Forum channel there, and you can go back and rewatch any part you may have missed earlier this evening. You also find it on our 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM Facebook wall, too. You just have to do a little scrolling the longer you wait to go check it out. Again, that concludes our program for tonight. We now send you back to regular programming. Big thank you to the Leadership Roswell Alumni Association, the City of Roswell, and the Roswell Independent School District for putting this event together tonight. That concludes our coverage of tonight's event. Have a great evening. We'll talk to you next time. Take care, everybody.